Hey. Hi, everybody. How you doing? We are on week 2 of the NFL season, but before we go back for week 1, I'm Lonnie Washington along with Tony Robinson. He's in Texas and I am in Arizona, and we're going to talk football right now, week 2. We got a lot to get to today. First, we're going to start with last night's Monday night game. We had a classic matchup with basically, I don't want to say two rookies, but two quarterbacks that came out the same draft, Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy. It was at Soldier Field, Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears, and this was a crazy game. Me and Tony were actually on the phone together watching most of this game, and it was kind of a tale of two halves. You had Caleb Williams in the first half, who got on the hot start. He led the offense as like a dual threat. He's not really a dual threat quarterback, but he was acting like a dual threat quarterback. And he actually had a really good first half and actually had a really good 3 quarters. But the fourth quarter, things changed a little bit. Tony, what did you think about the game? And what do you think about the comeback of the Minnesota Vikings in the fourth quarter?
I feel like Caleb Williams came out pretty confident in that Ben Johnson offensive scheme. He came out really good, but when you got the coach over the defensive coordinator for the Vikings pretty much baiting him in the second half, throwing 40% blitzes versus the maybe one blitz in the first half, I think it was, they said.
Yep. So
they came out in the second half and just showed him everything, threw the whole kitchen at him, and he couldn't handle it. So it just shows that this is his third or fourth offensive coordinator. It just being second year player, still young in the league. He had so many offensive coordinators, so I don't feel like he feels really comfortable to close games out and stuff like that because he hasn't seen everything, especially being in his offense. So, but on the McCarthy side, he started off, his first game, as a pro. So it showed in the first half. Being a pro player and coming out as a quarterback in the NFL it's hard, especially going against a solid defense in the Chicago Bears. So I feel like he showed that he was a rookie in the first half, and then the reason why they put him in this spot and put that C on his chest was because of what he did in the game. So, he got it going.
Yeah, I think with Brian Flores, Brian Flores just said, "Screw it, we're gonna blitz Caleb Williams. We're gonna just blitz him and see how comfortable that he can be." And what people don't really realize or probably know, that it was a crazy stat that came out that he was inaccurate 29% of the time in this football game and 44% of the time in the second half. So, and it showed because once Brian Flores started dialing up them blitzes, he started, getting a little happy feet. He missed a lot of passes down the stretch in the fourth quarter. He made a couple of good runs to try to keep his team in the game. But everybody turned this game off once J.J. McCarthy threw the interception for a touchdown, the pick 6. And, people were like, man, Chicago Bears are going to have this game. And you would think that would be true. But, man, you got to play all 60 minutes because these coaches, they get paid too. And these defenses, Brian Flores, he dialed that pressure. And it just felt that the Chicago Bears could not score the knockout punch, right? We kept watching that game. And I kept saying, oh, man, they can't get the knockout punch. And it's not good that they can't put this team away because they were dominating this game for 3 quarters. So, this is a great win for McCarthy because it shows, like you said, that this is why they drafted him and this is why he got the C on his chest. But I think that they kind of was holding back, on the play calling in the first half, trying to get him comfortable. And then finally they start opening up the playbook. The running game start really going really well. And for a young quarterback, when that running game is going well, it opens up that passing game. He got a little bit more confidence. And then they start getting the ball to number 18, right? Justin Jefferson. He's that guy. Right, start getting him the ball, and then things start opening up for the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't know, man. If you're a Chicago Bears fan, what do you think? What are you feeling this morning? If you're a Chicago Bears fan, looking at that game?
Well, it's just like being a Browns fan. The same look how I felt with the Browns. So it's the same look. Like what the heck just happened here? Like what's going on? Like we came out, had control of the game, and then it just got taken away from us at the end. So it's like, or in the Browns instance, the kicker couldn't make a extra point or a field goal or whatever. So, but the Bears, they still have some opportunities. It's just the first game of the season is hard because these guys don't play in the preseason. So it's like this is their first preseason game, or their first season / preseason game, because they don't really play in the preseason. So I think they'll figure it out as they move on. So, and also Ben Johnson, this is a transition from offensive coordinator to head coach. So he had some slip ups there because he couldn't.
And he's caught plays.
Yeah. Yeah, because he couldn't change. He couldn't change to counter Mike Flores's defensive scheme in the second half. He has to be able to adjust to what the defense is showing and be there for Caleb too. It's not all on Caleb Williams. I mean, he looks sporadic out there because he was just flustered because he's like, oh, whoa, they're sending me all these rushes. Now I didn't see this in the first half. I thought it was going to be vanilla like the first half, but Flores did a great job defending that second half.
So it was a tale of two quarterbacks. I mean, Caleb Williams completed 21 out of 35 passes for 210 yards and a touchdown. He also led the Bears in rushing now with 58 yards rushing. Now, I mean, anytime you have a really non-running quarterback leading your team in rushing, that becomes a problem too. I mean, Ben Johnson, he wasn't really balanced. I mean, he's got to run the ball to help his young quarterback out. Because when that pass rush started coming, you gotta go some screen passes. He wasn't really as that dynamic as he would have been in Chicago. Granted that the personnel is not the same, but I mean, he didn't even run the ball. You got Caleb Williams 58 yards rushing, but you didn't even have another running back that was even close to that kind of yardage. And so I think that played a big role too in the loss with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, I believe that with the Ben Johnson offense, like with the Lions, you want to see him throwing the ball downfield, throwing the ball to their slot receivers, just getting the ball downfield more. I feel like they were dinking and dunking way too much. And I feel like the receivers the receivers for the Bears got really frustrated because in the second half they couldn't. Caleb Williams was overthrowing them and like missing throws because
he airmailed the ball wide open.
He was wide open into the end zone and for a touchdown. And it's just they'll figure it out. I believe it'll take probably like 3 or 4 games for them to figure it out. But it's just it is what it is because it's just when you going up against a great defense like the Minnesota Vikings defense and they're veterans.
They do have a good defense.
Yeah, they're veteran. They're a veteran defense. They're not some young guys that's trying to play or learning how to play. They play, and Flores. So,
I mean, on the other side, I mean, you look at JJ McCartney. He finished at 143 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick six. But he had a clutch performance in the fourth quarter. He was responsible for 3 touchdowns. And that was the real big difference maker. And that's really what you want to see from a young quarterback. JJ McCarthy, he was really impressive, down the stretch. And the moment wasn't too big for him. It seemed like he's been there before of having that championship pedigree coming out of Michigan a couple of years ago, winning a championship. So, I mean, I think that once he got settled down, it was a different ball game. But if you're looking at Caleb Williams, I mean, do you believe that Caleb Williams now has the most pressure on him? Because JJ McCarthy got the monkey off his back because everybody going into this game said, JJ McCarthy had the most pressure because he didn't play at all. And they got rid of, a quarterback that was 14-2 last year with Sam Darnold and put their total trust and faith in the JJ McCarthy. So he had some pressure coming into this game. Now that JJ McCarthy showed that he could stand up to the pressure, now what do you think moving forward that Caleb Williams, the pressure that he's going to have on him moving forward for the rest of the year, just prove that, man, I can read defenses and I belong in this league because he did show some flashes of goodness, but it's kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly was really ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the coming out as the first round pick, to your guy, Jaden Daniels, I mean, that goes a long way to say, okay, this is the guy you picked over me. This is Jaden Daniels speaking right now. You chose this guy over me, and he's showing you, but I can't. I'm not gonna go down that road, because the reason why I'm not gonna go down that road is because he had 3 offensive coordinators or 4 offensive coordinators, so he's still trying to find his footing. And I feel like he's coming into these different offenses and stuff like that. He's still learning, and he only been in the league for 2 years. Having 3 to 4 offensive coordinators. So, but I do feel like he has to. Him and Ben Johnson will figure it out. It sounds obviously that's the way that's what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say you're going to figure it out,
right?
Because they're professionals.
I knew you were going to say this. I knew you were going to bring up his coordinators, his head coaches, and all that stuff there. My counter to it is that, dude, you started showing in the second half, you started showing some regression of what you were showing last year. The inaccuracy. They showed a video during training camp where you just throw the ball in the net 4 times. He missed all 4 times and then walked away, screamed and yelled about it in that drill. So he does have some inaccuracy issues. While he is kind of, doing, outrunning people to the sidelines, and he's got a little burst of speed. He's not a Jaden Daniels quarterback. He is a drop back quarterback, and his bread and butter has to be his accuracy. And to be honest with you, he is definitely on the hot seat now after the performance yesterday, because it was a mixed bag. And I think that, with a new offensive coordinator, he is. I mean, I think he's on a hot seat because he's not Ben Johnson's guy. Remember that, right? Ben Johnson didn't draft him. So I think that if he doesn't come around this year and the Chicago Bears is a dumpster fire and he doesn't look good, I don't think that the Chicago Bears are going to give up on Ben Johnson just yet. It would be more like Caleb Williams. I could see them bringing in a veteran quarterback to compete with Caleb Williams next season, like they did Richardson with Daniel Jones.
I don't think he's on the hot seat yet. I feel like they're probably thinking about it, but I don't think he's on the hot seat, because I feel like when you have these many coaches and coordinators or whatever coming in to putting these different schemes in front of him, he needs stability. With any quarterback that comes in, you need stability. You can't go off of just what he's doing, how he's performing. Yeah, he's performing terribly, but it comes down to what is the coaches doing for him? Like, what are the different coaching staffs, and what's the ownership doing for him? What are they put him in the best situation to be a great pro?
I mean, he's got talent. I mean, he's got a line, he's got talent, he's got a defense. I mean, it just comes down to consistency and execution for all 4 quarters, I think, with him, because he shows flashes of the good things, but man, the inaccurate passes and not being able to read and not going not being able to read and running all over the field, that's really not his game. Ben Johnson don't want your quarterback to do that.
Yeah, consistency is from all around, though, because he needs stability at the offensive coordinator, the one that's calling the plays.
He's got it.
Now he does. Hopefully they can, if Ben Johnson can stay there for at least 2 to 3, 4 more years, and
I don't
see how
think
it
Caleb Williams has that much time. I don't think he has that much time.
They got to see how it maturates, because unless he doesn't want to be in Chicago, I don't know. It's just, they're about to get a new stadium soon. I would think they want to lead with somebody like him. Well, nobody else is going to want to go to Chicago. I don't know. Just like Cleveland, Caleb, nobody wants to go to Cleveland.
We have to turn the page and leave it there. But I can tell you that at the end of the day, it wasn't really a good look last night from what I seen with Caleb Williams. And I'm always going to go back to my guy Jaden Daniels in Washington, because Chicago Bears waited for Caleb Williams. They didn't interview any other quarterback, not even Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels is the better quarterback right now at this stage of the game. So we're going to leave it there for a moment, and we'll come back. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers and highly anticipated return back to the Meadowlands against the Jets. That game was a really cool game. We're going to come back, but not after a word from our sponsors. So Lonnie, the life agent, and that's me. I'm a life insurance agent. I help people get legacies for their family. The best thing that you can give to your family, the last love letter that you can have for your family, is a life insurance policy. And so if you haven't got a life insurance policy for your family, it is time to stop playing around and, help your family after you're gone, pay mortgages, pay the bills and everything there. So you need a life insurance policy. It doesn't matter if you start out with a term policy before we find you something more permanent, but you definitely need to have something in place for your family. It helps you build a legacy, and it's going to be great financially for your family when you're not around if you're the breadwinner. We'll be back in a minute. We are back. Lonnie Washington along with Tony Robertson. He's in Texas. I'm in Arizona, and we're talking the NFL week 1. And then we'll preview week 2 coming up here in a little bit. But we're going to go to the Meadowlands right away, and I call it the Aaron Rodgers Revenge Tour. In a highly anticipated matchup, Aaron Rodgers, now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, faces former team, the New York Jets. Rodgers threw for 4 touchdowns and led the game-winning drive to secure a 34-32 victory. The Jets' new quarterback, Justin Fields, also had a strong performance with 2 rushing touchdowns. But Aaron Rodgers clearly, he was like on some like Return of the Mac type stuff, Return of the Mac. Yeah, he did because he didn't like the way it ended in New York last year, with the whole Aaron Glenn meeting, and Aaron Glenn basically said, called him in, he flew across the country. Aaron Glenn had told him, hey, we're going a different direction. And Aaron Rodgers saying, hey, you could have told me that over the phone, dude. I wasted my time coming across the country. Are you serious? And Aaron Rodgers, in an interview after the game, did say that his goal was just not to beat Aaron Glenn, but to beat all the Jets. Mission accomplished, guy. Now, can Aaron Rodgers, we say return the Mac, is this sustainable for Aaron Rodgers? He's in your division. What do you think?
After watching that, I watched part of the game. After watching the highlights of it, I'm like, why did he come back? Why did he come back to our division? Like, I already got to deal with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and they want to say our division isn't the best division in the league, but I feel like it is, especially when you add in Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball around like he did. I think that he's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. I like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and different things like that, but this dude is so cool. He still got it. I feel like it's going to be sustainable as long as he can stay healthy, as long as they can keep him upright. He's making guys like what's the receiver Austin, making him look like he's looked pretty good because he played in with the Cowboys last season, I think, Austin. And he's making him look, like he could be a viable pick for fantasy, and then you got DK, you got all those pieces around him that can actually help him sustain his, his 1-year contract or whatever. I think he can do really well. And I believe, like we talked about last night, I feel like he can possibly have another 1-year contract if he can stay healthy and he does well. I don't want that as a Browns fan. I'd rather them, dumpster fire because that's our rival. So, but I'm surprised they let Fields go because he was on a return to Mac tour to fight against him. He was fighting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like he was like, that's a rivalry game now because they let him go and they could have just kept him, and like you said last night, Aaron Rodgers probably looking around like, why did they let this guy go? He's killing it right now. So it was crazy.
that game there, that was a kind of a highlight game in the first part there. Now we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Of course, right there.
Yeah, I need to talk about the Cleveland Browns. Because when you look at this game, wow. I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking to myself, Cleveland Browns have a chance to win this game, right? And they for some reason they weren't able to get over the hump. Their defense played very, very well, right? And when you listen, Joe Burrow, 14 of 23, 113 yards passing and a touchdown, 60.9% completion rate, 87.8% passer rating. I mean, if I told you those stats, Tony, if I told you those stats and you didn't see the game, would you think that the Browns put it on them and won the football game? What say you, my friend?
How do you lose that game? That's what I want to like. How do you lose it? Just like all those stats you just gave, how do you lose that game? Like, we had them dominated. We, everything we did on the defensive side slow a high-powered offense down, and you got Joe Flacco playing well. He's they running 12 personnel, getting the ball to Harold Fannin, getting the ball to Sampson out of the backfield, just doing a lot of different things. Our run game didn't play that well because Cincinnati did get better on the defensive side. People want to say they're still bad, but that was based on last year's stats. Right. I feel like we play really well though. Offensively, just those 2 picks that came up, the receivers tipping the ball up into interceptions. I don't blame Joe Flacco for that, but defensively at the end, we had so many opportunities to win the game. The kicker missed the extra point to put us in a situation where we had to the defense played. They showed up. The kicker put us in a situation. The kicker still showed. The defense showed up again. Almost got a safety to win the game, but it was unfortunate that we didn't get it. The kicker missed the field goal to win the game again. Get another opportunity to redeem himself. He just didn't show up. And then, I'm looking right now, like, do we keep this kicker? Because I can't trust him. He kicked the field goal and the extra point that he kicked before he got into pressure situations was perfect. He kicked it right through the uprights. But then once he got pressured, once the pressure was on him, he couldn't handle the pressure to me. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
It is the first game. I want to trash him too much. But as a Brown fan, and like all the groups that I'm in, everybody's calling for him to get out. They're like, why didn't you pick up Prater? Why didn't you pick up different veteran kickers and stuff like that? We have a bad history with picking up Groza Award winners out of college, thinking they're the best kickers in college. It doesn't translate, obviously, because the last
I just saw that San Fran cut Moody. Their kicker today.
I don't want Moody either. he hasn't made a field goal either.
Yeah, another problem child there, buddy.
Yeah. We don't want that guy. So I don't know, but it's just tough. Because we're like right there. I feel like we're right there, and we just need, once we get Junkins back, and then I just saw there's something we cleared. We restructured our DB's contract. And we pretty much got $18 million back under the salary cap. So what I think we're doing, we're trying to figure out a way to get another key piece. I feel like it's gonna be a receiver. I don't know, because we don't need more running backs now. We got Junkins coming back, so hopefully we can get something going from there and get another high-powered offensive player from that cap space. So.
And it don't get easier for the Browns. I believe the Ravens. You got the Ravens this week, and
coming off that loss too. Yeah,
I'll segue into now the Bills and the Ravens game. It was a thriller, a Sunday night thriller on Sunday Night Football. Stunning. The Ravens with the 41, the Bills with a 41-40 comeback victory at home. The Baltimore Ravens dominated this game. All game. And it was they were trailing by 15 points. Bills were trailing by 15 points with 4 minutes left. Josh Allen, 394 yards passing, 2 touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. He was just spectacular down the stretch. And really, there's the Bills have had a problem with closing out games. John Harbaugh for his career has 17 he lost games, 17 double-digit comeback losses on his resume, which is astounding. And then when you look at Derrick Henry having a huge game, 169 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and he had a crucial fumble there that started the comeback with 5 minutes left in the game, and that started the Bills' comeback. What do you think about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and how does that how do you see this big win? Or do you think it was just, a fluke, or is the Ravens, is there something there with the Ravens, even though they dominated that game?
Yeah, like we talked about last night, or like we always talk about, like the Ravens have issues with closing, and they find a way to shoot themselves in the foot. If it's not a tight end dropping a pass in the end zone to win the games in the playoffs, it's somebody fumbling the ball, and like it doesn't happen that often with the big man, that the big running back in the backfield. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it's at the wrong time, So, but I feel like Josh Allen, did his thing. Everybody did their thing. You got the defense showed up when they needed to, even though they gave us, 40-some points or 40 points. Josh Allen, though, he showed why he's the reigning MVP. He stepped up. He did his thing. I mean, Lamar Jackson and they play really well too. I mean, it's just you can't make mistakes, and you got to close out. Just like you said on that last night, we were talking about that 4th and 3. You got to put Lamar Jackson in a situation to like close the game out. You can't give Buffalo a chance in Buffalo. They got the momentum rolling and stuff like that. You have to make a way for the past MVP to actually come up and do his thing, show that he's the man too. So, but yeah, I give it up. Hats off to Josh Allen. He did his thing. Sometimes for fantasy purposes, I have the running back, James Cook. So he was vulturing my touchdowns for James Cook. I was kind of pissed off though.
To put a cap on that one, I mean, I just think that Lamar Jackson has to get over the hump, right? First is Patrick Mahomes you can't beat. Now it's Josh Allen that he can't beat. It's unfortunate that he's got so many great quarterbacks in the AFC. Joe Burrow. I mean, he's a 2-time MVP himself. Lamar Jackson, and to have to go up against potentially another 2-time MVP. He's got one. Josh Allen with that schedule, they don't leave the East Coast, I think, but one time this year, and they with an easy schedule in the AFC. I think Buffalo Bills are going to be the team to beat in the AFC. So, turning the page back to the NFC, you had the Green Bay Packers playing the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions traveled to Lambeau Field, and Green Bay started off real fast. They came out firing, scoring in their first 3 possessions. Quarterback Jordan Love looked real sharp in this game. He threw 2 first-half touchdowns, the tight end Tucker Kraft and wide receiver Jaden Reed. The early success gave the Packers a 17-3 lead at halftime, and it just looked real bad for the Detroit Lions. With all the talent that Detroit has, everybody's saying, oh, well, last year the Commanders go into, Detroit, and this team was depleted on defense. Well, you go fast forward now to this year, they got totally dominated. They looked like a shell of themselves without their 2 coordinators. And the Green Bay Packers took full advantage of it with that dominating defense. And they just shut them down. And it looked real, real bad for Detroit. Micah Parsons, I mean, he his first game as a Packers, he was just very disruptive. He had a sack and multiple pressures. Rashad Gary was tough, had a great game too, had 1.5 sacks, leading a strong defensive effort. What do you think looking at that game? Everybody's got the Packers now going to the Super Bowl or bust, and all this stuff like that. Do you say tone it down or tone it up?
I say tone it up because
okay, all right.
I watched the game, and what I saw was like remnants of like the old school Packers dominating on both sides of the ball with Rodgers or Brett Favre or whatever it is. But I want to go back to the Lions for a minute. Just like you said, Ben Johnson. It comes down to Ben Johnson not being there anymore. I feel like they they still learning the offensive coordinator, I guess. But Ben Johnson's showing that he's a great coach, and that's why I feel like Chicago will still be okay moving forward. But Goff has to come up with some better way of like getting these guys together. We can't keep making an excuse. These guys are professionals. They went deep into the playoffs last year. They know what to do. They just got to implement it.
They got a crazy talented roster.
Yeah, and back to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, the receivers they have everybody they have so much athleticism out there. They got the running game popping. They got the tight end popping. Defense, you got Parsons coming through the middle, disrupting everything. So it's causing coverage issues, and it's just you getting coverage sacks or coverage bad passes. Rushing the quarterback, so he's like throwing the ball in weird spots and stuff like that. Gibbs couldn't get going. The running game couldn't get going for the Detroit, and usually that's what they usually hang their hat on is running the ball, and Montgomery wasn't getting off and stuff like that. I feel
he was sacked. Jared Goff was sacked. This is another stat. Jared Goff was 31 of 39 for 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but he was sacked 4 times. I mean, this is not. This is not one of his brightest performances, and the whole team of Detroit looked out of whack. It looked like they had hangover from last year's playoff game. And do you think it was more of the Green Bay Packers imposing their will on the Detroit Lions, or is Detroit Lions going to have some growing pains this year? Do you think that things are going to flip in that division when it comes to teams being on top?
Yeah, I was going to ask you a similar question. Is it the offensive line play, or is it the defense of the Packers? But I feel like it's the Packers because when you add somebody like Micah Parsons, he's a game changer. So he can go from anywhere. He can go D-line, linebacker, cover. He can do whatever he's asked to do and change the game in that way, rushing the quarterback in all different ways, up the middle, rushing the pocket, rushing around, blindside, whatever he's doing, he'll get to the quarterback and cause disruption. And it speeds up the quarterback. So, as a quarterback, you're looking to see where he is every single time. It's like you're like, okay, he's over there. It's like the boogeyman over there, like Candyman. So it's like,
man, he's the boogeyman. Right?
so you a little scared. And the offensive line is the same way because the offensive line can hear in your voice, the inflection in your voice if you're scared or not. Because when you see Parsons coming across, it's like, I may be exaggerating, but I'm like,
nah, man, you right on point because Michael Parsons came around that corner, ran him down, sacked him, and Jared Goff looking around like, "Dag, where you come from? Yo, you knew this dude was on your tail. You should have hightailing out of bounds or whatever, but you looking all crazy." And so, we're gonna take our next break, and but before we do, we're gonna hear from Tony. He's doing some positive things. Tony, go ahead.
So just like Lonnie here, I'm a life insurance agent, but I also just added tax preparing to my business. January 1st, I'll be taking new clients. If you're looking to maximize your returns and lower your tax liabilities, reach out to me. I can help. And also utilize the Section 162 for you to be able to, for businesses to be able to turn your business tax into personal income. Thank you.
It's always good. We'll be back. We're back. I'm Lonnie Washington along with my good friend Tony Robinson. We're talking football, a little bit of week 1. We're going to start previewing week 2 coming up here soon. I'm going to go into the New York Giants at the Washington Commanders. Of course, I'm a big Commanders fan. There's a lot of people talking about sophomore slump. I don't think it's going to happen. But this game was a really good game, NFC East, crazy game. And Jaden Daniels, he's got a lot of good weapons this year. They had a Deebo Samuel this year. On defense, they added Kinlaw to anchor that middle of that defense because, quite frankly, they got to deal with Saquon Barkley, and they don't want him to run all over them this year. And so you have like a revamped defensive line. And in this game, it was really never close. I mean, the Commanders came out right off the bat, establishing the line of scrimmage. I mean, they were good on both sides of the football, and I was really impressed the way Jaden Daniels handled himself. He had a few misses, too. He had some drops in there, too. He was a little inaccurate at times, too. But, man, the things that he can do with his feet and when he gets out of the pocket and throw the ball on the run. I mean, he had like a 30-yard pass to the sideline as he scrambled to his right was a laser. And now you have Noah Brown that's healthy. He's coming back off a kidney issue from last year. So you've got, Deebo Samuel. He's running touchdowns when he gets the ball in the backfield, just outrunning the whole team. He's a freight train to tackle. And then you've got this young cat, Bill, also known as AKA Ja'Cory Cross-Kameret. He came in the second half to ice that football game, but I was very impressed with the way the Commanders held the Giants to only 6 points, and already the New York Giants faithful are already calling for Russell Wilson to be benched for the rookie Jackson Dart. What do you think about that game, and what do you think about everybody wanting Russell Wilson to be benched?
Yeah, it's a tough thing for Russell Wilson. I've been a Russell Wilson fan for a while now, from when he was in Seattle. It's just sad to see, I don't know if it's scheme or I don't know what it is, because I didn't get a chance to watch this whole game. I just watched the highlights of this game, just to be honest. But I do believe that Russell, that's why they didn't go away from him. I feel like it was because the Commanders have a good defense. They want to see how he plays in the next game to see if it was just a one-off, because it was the first game of the season, right?
Yeah.
So just like with, a lot of people, they may be calling for him to switch to Jackson Dart, but the first game of the season is not room to like panic. It's just a feel out game because everybody's still learning, getting back into the swing of things and stuff like that. Right. Now, if this was week 5 and, the Giants were like 1-4 or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, Jackson Dart time. But or week 3, if he's doing the same thing by week 3, start thinking about Jackson Dart ramping his first team reps up really quick and stuff like that. But it's just the first week. I mean, you can't go too far. But I do believe that a big pickup that you guys made in Deebo Samuel this summer was really huge. With the Buckeye McLaren out, for the first couple games because of the contract things that he was, dealing with or whatever. Now they got the contract done, but Deebo Samuel stepped up for you guys. A big run. What do you say about the addition of Deebo Samuel to go along with all the pieces you currently have?
Yeah, if you're a Commanders fan, you have to be excited about it because Jaden Daniels was impressive. He was 19-30. 233 yards and a touchdown, and he added 65 yards on the ground. But then, you add Deebo Samuel in there, and of course, Terry McLaurin, it was, he missed most of camp. He only came in, we can have 2 weeks before this game. So you worry about game shape. Was he in game shape, right? But, we're not worried about Terry because we know what he's going to do. Everybody wanted to see this new Ferrari that we've got from the San Francisco 49ers and Deebo Samuel, and he did not disappoint. I mean, he was a catalyst on offense. I mean, he had 96 yards receiving and a touchdown on just 8 touches. I mean, so when he gets the ball to run after the catch, is just, I mean, he's just a freight train. I mean, and then you add this 7th-round sensation, Bill, Ja'Cory Cross-Kameret, a.k.a. Bill. This rookie running back lived up to his preseason hype. I mean, he had 82 yards rushing and a touchdown, including a 42-yard run that sealed the game in the fourth quarter. This was an excellent performance overall by the Commanders, and I'm looking forward to see what's next. And they have a big game coming up this Thursday. They got to travel to Green Bay, and this here might be an early playoff preview of what's to come up next. And we'll preview that and some of the games coming up in week 2 in just a moment. We'll be back. Hey, we're back. We're talking the NFL Week 1. We are now heading to Week 2 to preview a few key matchups on Week 2. My name is Lonnie Washington, and Tony Robinson. He's in Texas. I'm in Arizona, and we're talking Week 2 now. I mean, the NFL Week 2 is shaping up to be a must-see slate of games. I mean, features 7 high-stake matchups and intriguing storylines. And one of them is Thursday night, just 2 days from now. You got the Washington Commanders at the Green Bay Packers. The Commanders, fresh off the Week 1 victory, they travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. This game features 2 of the league's most exciting young quarterbacks in Washington, Jaden Daniels, and Green Bay, Jordan Love. And, this is going to, a short week. I don't really like these Thursday night games. On a short week, it's all about, who has prepared. Understanding that it was a quick turnaround. It's tougher for the Commanders to travel, where Green Bay is just sitting at home, just waiting. They just wait. They didn't have to do anything. They had a big victory over the Detroit Lions, but now, they hit Jaden Daniels. Just saying he's got a little wrist injury on the throwing hand, but they said he should be ready to play. And, this is an early matchup again, where you're going to see 2 teams that are playoff teams last year. And they were kind of neck and neck, when it came to, records last season. And it's going to be an interesting game to see how things pan out. These early games are huge. Everybody's talking about Super Bowl or bust for Green Bay, but my boys are coming into town, and we're no slouches either. Jaden Daniels, he's just if not better than Jordan Love, and I think that this is going to be a really good game. And I think the Commanders, I don't think it's going to be an upset. I think the Commanders are going to go in there and take care of business on Thursday night. I know I might be biased because I'm a fan, but boy, we got some heavyweight guns. And if we can start catching some passes and we've knocked the rust off against the Giants, man, it's going to be a great game in Lambeau Field. What do you think about Thursday night?
Well, yeah, with these short weeks, I worry about the travel, right? You said, you got Green Bay sitting at home, just waiting, relaxing in their own bed and stuff like that. They don't got to go nowhere, right? So I think that's why the Vegas lines, they have them the favorite at negative 3.5.
3.5 points.
3.5 points. And then
that's
the over 45.5, so I think it's going to be a shootout. But in these kind of games, I believe that this is a game that Jaden Daniels could thrive in, because with a good defense with the Packers, right? They can't just hone in on one thing. You don't have a pocket passer anymore, right? You don't have a slew-footed. I want to talk bad about Goff, but he doesn't run fast. Let's say that. I'm not gonna say he's slew-footed. That's messed up. But we got a Jaden Daniels that can move, and you got a Deebo Samuel that can come around and get the ball, run the ball, whatever he can do. And you got Bill coming out of the backfield. You got different dynamics of the team. I think it would be hard for Green Bay to keep up with this kind of offense because of Jaden Daniels' pure ability to run the ball, because you can't hone in on one thing, because he can kill you running, he can kill you passing. So that's my assessment of it. I'm not a Commanders fan. I'm always going to talk bad about the Commanders when I'm talking to him on the phone.
Because you know me, you might be one if you didn't know me, because you didn't know.
I might be a Jaden Daniels fan even more, because I like Lamar Jackson. I like running quarterbacks. Because when I played quarterback, I was running quarterback too. But to be real, I feel like it's going to be a really good game, and I think it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. We also have the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Kansas City. This is a highly anticipated Super Bowl rematch. The Eagles, after a solid win over the Cowboys, travel to Arrowhead to face the Chiefs, a team that is uncharacteristically 0-1 after the Week 1 loss, in Brazil to the Chargers. The Chiefs will be looking to get their season back on track and to avenge their Super Bowl defeat too. So now, you got 2 storylines here. They want to, get back on track after getting beat. And then also, the Chiefs starting 0-2, man, that's a tough one if that happens. But, now you've got the Philadelphia Eagles, who really wasn't that impressive on Week 1. Jalen Hurts was very impressive the way he handled himself. But, overall, you had, it wasn't really solid performance, I think, by the Eagles on offense. So what do you think about this game that we're previewing now?
You said they're at the Chiefs, right?
Yep,
So
Kansas City.
So every time the Chiefs play at home, the defense plays a lot better than they play on the road or in their neutral site. Just so we
Opening
get
day.
that out there. From history, that from what I've been watching, like in doing fantasy and stuff like that, they play very well at home with that crowd, the Arrowhead crowd, the loud, whatever. But you have the Eagles. I mean, they're the Eagles. They have a great defense. They have a great offense. Yeah, they have a great defense, great offense or whatever. But I feel like this is going to be a defensive battle, though. I feel like the line says it's even right now. They given the Eagles the favorite on the road. I'm surprised at that. And they say it's going to be under
11 days rest. I mean, they had 10 days rest, so I mean, that might go a long way too, where, even they had to travel. Kansas City had to travel back from Brazil and a loss, and they played one day after the Eagles, and so they got one less day rest plus the travel. But I think, man, I don't think that the Kansas City Chiefs is going to go 0-2. I'm picking Kansas City in this game, and it might be close by. I think it's going to be a 4-point game. I think Kansas City bounces back. Xavier Worthy, I know he has a dislocated shoulder. I'm not quite sure if he's going to play, but they said he can play with the brace. They popped it back in, and it's little pain. He can play with a brace, but they need a guy that can take the top off the defense. But I can't see Kansas City being 0-2 to start the season.
Hollywood Brown showed up when he went out and had a big fantasy night. He had like 20-some points fantasy. He killed it once Worthy went out, just to note that. So Hollywood Brown might be a key factor.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens in that game. We're going to go to Cleveland at Baltimore. Oh, man. This is again, an AFC divisional game. The Browns will be trying to avoid going 0-2 start after a close loss to the Bengals, while the Ravens will be motivated to bounce back after blowing a huge lead at the Bills. There's a lot of storylines in this game. They always play tough. It's a divisional rivalry. But, man, I'm not quite sure. I think the Browns might be 0-2 here because even though that, the Ravens lost that game, I mean, they dominated. They really dominated that team in Buffalo, and they're coming home to their home opener, and they've got the Cleveland Browns coming in. I think the Cleveland Browns might be in trouble in this game.
I would never go against my Cleveland Browns, so I'm going to say we're going to win 28-24 right now on air. The only reason why I say that because every year we play them very well. There's years we beat them twice in a year where they were top in division. So they have trouble with our defensive scheme, just so you know that. But also we might be getting QJ back, or not back. He may be our running back. Junkins might be playing in this game.
And you think he's that much of a difference maker? I mean,
the run game, run game.
He's a good player, but
run game. I mean, he may not play a lot. Obviously, he's not going because he's still behind the with not playing as much, not playing through training camp or through the preseason stuff like that. But I feel like he's a game changer. But he's not going to play as much in this game. But I feel like getting him back into the fold will coupled with Samson. Samson is going to be a dynamic player in this game because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run the ball up the middle, outside, wherever you need him to run the ball. That's why he was the top in the SEC at Tennessee. He did very well there. But also you got this Fanning kid. I don't think they do well with playing against tight ends. So we playing the 12 personnel. We got two good tight ends in Njoku and Fanning. And Fanning, he plays wide receiver too. And I feel like that's going to be the change in the guard where we come out and like just take them out. Wishful thinking. I mean, that's my optimism coming out. That's just what I think. So, but I know you're gonna shoot me down. Oh, it went away. Damn it.